But like,
It's okay.
what was it about being a SEAL that really drew you in? You know, like what was the Stu Smith reason to go for the teams, and what was that experience like?
Well, I was struggling my first 6 months of the academy to a point where I just went home Thanksgiving and started crying. And my mom said, "Won't you just come home?" And I'm like, "I can't quit." Right. And then she was like, "Well, let's figure this out. Let's figure this out." So I actually, that was a bad, 18-year-old. I call it the typical 18-year-old scenario where you leave home, you're in a new city, you're getting yelled at all the time by strange people, you're meeting new friends, and your girlfriend dumps you, and you're trying to meet these standards that you're way beyond anything. It's just this perfect storm for failure, and that was what I was going through at 18. And I wound up not making the team, not becoming a pilot, not really because I didn't get there. I just chose not to go that route after I started playing rugby. And I played rugby for the three and a half years while I was at the academy. And on that team, at any one given time, there were guys on there, probably 7 to 8 guys wanted to be SEALs, 7 to 8 guys wanted to be Marines. And, they were upperclassmen, so they were a few years ahead of me. And then I would see them making it through whatever they wanted to do. So I saw a way to get through. So I took them as kind of like mentors of like, okay, this is what they're doing. That's what I'm going to do. Right. So, and then I started working out with them, and then I started seeing their study habits, and they'd take their books down to dinner, and then they just go straight to the library. I said, that's what I'm doing. And so I just had some good examples of people that were doing the grind, getting through it, working hard, playing hard, because it's a rugby team. And, there's always 2 games at a rugby game. There's the game of the event, then there's the beer drinking that's after, and that's another game. So that was a good source of social release I think I needed, as well as a good example of people really taking things to the next level. And what that did for me was it took the impossibility factor of what Buds is. Because I'd seen this when I was a freshman, and I saw seniors making it through Buds, and then I saw juniors making it through Buds, and every year all these guys were making it through Buds, and I'm like, I could do this. Let me just do what they're doing. I'm doing what they're doing now. Let me see if I can compete on that next level. And that I think that was the turning point for it. For a lot of us, when you do consider these special warfare jobs, a lot of it has to start off with, this isn't impossible, right? A lot of people think it's so impossible, they don't even try, right? And, so I think that was the first step. And then, after meeting the SEALs that were stationed there, I was like, yeah, this is the community I want to do. So there you go.
That perfect storm you talked about at the beginning is so real. I was 17 when I came in, and that I had never really truly been away from home. You can say like, hey, going for 2 weeks camping or whatever it is being away from home. No, when you go to boot camp and then you go to a Buds or a SWIC or A&S, that's a whole nother being away from home. And for somebody who hasn't done it, or you're young, and like you nailed it, it is wild. That really, because I was in a really bad place. I was fortunate enough that I had really supportive parents, brother, and the teammates that I was around, because they were also going through the same thing. That's why.
Sure.
So that's why and I don't know what you guys call it, in the Navy, but in the Air Force we call it cross training. So you have your prior service that they did whatever, a mechanic or crew chief or whatever, and now they're trying to go through. So those older folks that are prior service that are coming in, and like that's important to help provide that kind of mentorship and that guidance.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's huge. So when we say, hey, you need to be a good NCO while you're going through the pipeline, that is part of it. Not only, keeping people in line and discipline and that kind of stuff and helping, but you're helping mentor people through life, not just in the military. I don't know, man, that is just like, it brought
No,
me back.
absolutely. No, absolutely. That journey, I think, for all of us is real. And the difference between, success and failure is often, one, your attitude, but also two, the people that you surround yourself with.
Oh yeah.
And are able to, find people that are good mentors for you. So
Yep.
there you go.
Well, and I think when we say team guys, I think it gets thrown around a lot. But thinking back, you always kind of find your team and your community, or it finds you, right? I think that's just like the inherent nature of who we are. Like, you found that beer drinking team that had a rugby problem, right? And then you guys. That's not my quote. I think that's a pretty classic rugby thing. Yes. I just want to put it out there. It's
perfect.
But like, when that community finds you and everything clicks into place, like, I know everybody's like, oh, on teams, and it's like, when you're in the pipeline, you're a team person, and if you gravitate towards that, and you're more than just an individual trying to get through this, and you enjoy having that camaraderie and those people around you, like, that's what makes people successful. Is we are team people, and no matter where you go, you're gonna find that camaraderie and those like-minded people that want to grind and work hard. And that's what makes, I think, people successful, not only on the teams, but, further out in life, being coaches and all the other stuff. I'm sure you have a team right now, whether it's your students or other people around you.
Yeah, and what's neat about the group of people that come to train with me? They come from different states. They find jobs. They find things to do here. They find family members that live nearby, whatever they can do. And they come here, and then they become each other's social group as well. And that's fun to see, because I go to barbecues with them on the weekend, and we're all hanging out, and it's just really neat to see how it starts coalescing into that tight knit group. And then I introduce these guys that want to enlist to the Naval Academy guys that I'm also coaching, and those guys are going to be their officers, and so they've already started a relationship, working out together, and by the time they get to, the Buds class, they've actually recognized some familiar faces, trust each other in certain ways. And I think one of my best stories is one of my enlisted guys from my local workouts we were all working out at the academy for about a year before they both went into the Navy, and they wound up being the class leader of the class and the senior, like the LPO of the class. So the leading petty officer, or like NCO, so the guy was the enlisted guy in charge. The other guy was the class officer in charge, and they had already known each other for, a year and a half before they actually had that class together. So those are kind of the neat things that I think that you just mentioned, that the team aspect brings about, because why it's so important is you will never make it through any of these spec war or any tactical training program really by yourself. You will never do it by yourself. It's always with a team, and your swim buddy or your battle buddy, whatever you want to call them. You guys are going to do that together.
Yeah, we're not all Mavericks out here, so it is what it is. I thought it was a great movie. Anyway, moving on.
I'm going to go see it, and I'm going to be nostalgic as hell about it, because I won't lie. Top Gun made me say, Navy? Huh.
See, and
push me in that direction.
One of the greatest recruiting movies of all time, whether it was for the Navy or the Air Force. Yeah, I mean, it's...
Oh, sure.
Jeez.
Yeah.